Simon Burke. Simon, good morning and welcome to AM News.
Hi, Burima. How are you?
I'm all right, man. How would you describe the mood in the Boks camp just a few hours ahead of this all-important game against Wales?
Well, I think as we've seen over the last couple of days, the Springboks have achieved possibly a new level of focus. It's a more direct and determined side than I've seen in a long time. And, you know, certainly when they field questions at these media conferences, there's none of this chit-chat and anecdotes, and they just want to get on with it. They know what the threat that Wales poses, and they're ready to take it on, one seems. One feels like that's definitely the mood in the camp at the moment.
And the team has had enough time to reflect on the competition. What would you say are some of the things that they've picked up along the way to get to where they are now in the competition?
Well, I think it all hinges on that loss to Japan in Brighton. After that, there was a renewed focus by the team, and they knew that whatever next match they came into, it was going to be a knockout match. They lose it, they're probably out of the World Cup. So they've taken it thus far, and this is now when the true knockouts begin, because if they do lose today, then they absolutely go home. But they think that they're ready for it because they've been playing under that kind of a scenario for a while now. The last three matches they've played, and especially against Samoa and against Scotland. They do need to step it up, though. I mean, against Samoa, probably an unruly side. The Boks were pretty incisive. Against the Scottish team, that wasn't great. The Boks did make a little bit of a meal of it, but they also got over the line. Now we're going to go on to Wales, who are one of the form teams in this World Cup, and a lot has been said about them. About just how dangerous they are. And obviously they kicked England out of the World Cup, or were one of the sides that contributed to England going, and they beat them at Twickenham. So this is definitely a Welsh side to be feared, which is not something we could have said in the past.
Yeah, Simon, the boys had a couple of days to relax since their previous match. What would you say is the one thing the team has focused on in the past few days at the training grounds?
Well, they need to go out and play their style of rugby, and that's been pretty evident from everybody who's spoken at press conferences, all the team members. They need to be direct, they need to be physical, they need to be upfront, but most of all, they need to win the breakdowns and they need to win the aerial battles, because Wales is an old-school rugby team. They do like to also take it to the opposition. And so the Boks, it kind of maybe plays into their hands a little bit. But in order to get past this hurdle, they have to play the best Springbok rugby they possibly can be, and that means being physical and making sure at the breakdown they get as many guys there as possible and completely overawe the Welsh. And that's something that the loose forwards have been talking about, Francois Lowe and Dwayne Vermeulen in particular. They need to step up today. A lot is expected of them.
The boys, of course, have been working hard in the training fields. Are there any injury concerns, Simon?
No, there's not much to speak of. The match day 23 is fully fit and raring to go. Obviously, Victor Matfield did the honourable thing and ruled himself out for this match, which was a huge relief because we have a lock pairing that is second to none in the world at the moment. Luth Diaga and Eben Etzebeth have really taken the world by storm and made everyone stand up and take notice. And Luth Diaga has been the form player of this World Cup for South Africa so far by a long shot. So in terms of injuries, no, we're all fresh and they're all fresh and ready to go. No one's carrying anything really. JP Peterson is back at wing. He was ruled out of the USA match because of an injury, but he's there and ready.
Now let's focus on the opponents. I mean, they have about 8 players who are out injured. How is this likely going to affect their game plan?
Well, a lot has been said about the Welsh injury list, and it just keeps mounting and mounting, but it doesn't seem like it affects them much because they just keep getting stronger. It seems like it's the adage that, you know, you draw strength from adversity, but they have been ravaged by injury. However, they've got a fly half in Dan Biggar who has got a phenomenal conversion rate. I think he's missed just one kick this entire tournament. And they've got massive backline players, George North, Jamie Roberts. These guys are going to be exactly the kind of players that the Springboks need to cut down immediately and not allow to be given any space, because they're huge. They're the size of flankers, but they run like the wind. And then obviously you've got Sam Warburton, who's been touted as possibly the only Northern Hemisphere player who is like a Southern Hemisphere flanker. He's that big and he's that dominant, and at the breakdown he is a beast. So there's plenty to worry about in this Welsh side. But as the Springboks have been reiterating, if they play their game, if they play the South African way like Heineke wants them to play, they should be able to march on, because this is not their end goal, is this quarterfinal. It's further down the tournament, as Dwayne Vermeulen alluded to.
Someone talking about a lot to be worried about when it comes to this Welsh team. They are known to be very good at kicking the ball. Can the kick and run strategy work for them in this game?
Well, that's going to be the contest that we're expecting for both teams. It's the aerial game. So they're going to launch high up and unders, and they're going to put pressure on our backs and isolate into the corners. But our guys do that as well. And as much as the Welsh are touted for being like that, so does Brian Habana and JP Peterson and Damien Dolendi. They all run onto a high up and under launched by Farid Dupré or Andre Pollard. So, yes, the Welsh will be doing that tactic, but we'll be doing that as well. And that's the kind of tactic you would expect in a quarterfinal of the Rugby World Cup. It's going to be that tight that you do have to isolate the field and make sure that you have numbers there to take on. And, if they put a kick into the corner, you make sure you've got a scenario where you've got like 6 on 3 or something like that. That's the way you get pressure. That's the way you score tries at this level. And also, of course, we must talk about the Springbok rolling maul. That's another thing that's going to count in our favor. The heavy artillery rolling up the field. That's another way we're going to score tries. And we have to employ all of that and make sure it is pitch perfect.
Simon, thanks a lot for that. That was SABC sports reporter Simon Burke joining us live from Twickenham in London. And that's how we come to the end of your sports bulletin at this time. Stay with us. AM News will be back shortly.